If you have ADHD and you're trying to lose weight and you are only consistent when you're motivated, this is the reason why you cannot lose weight and you are stuck in the start-stop cycle. Because ADHD brains, despite what you think, do not need higher standards. We do not need to try harder, have more willpower, be more motivated. What you actually need is a lower baseline option. And that is what today's video is all about. But before we get stuck in, just one teeny tiny tinsy asks. The more support you give me on these videos, the more that I can keep producing these videos. So please, 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 before you continue, before you get the good juicy stuff, just drop it a like. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Much love. Let's get stuck in. Now, I used to think that consistency meant doing everything to the letter, everything perfect. That's what we think consistency looks like. And I'm sure many of you can resonate with that. Completing all of your workouts, fully done. Tracking every single element, hitting your steps every single day, and then the second I could not maintain that, it'd be fall off, back to square one, rinse and repeat, right? And the reason this happens is because ADHD brains love intensity. We love that feeling of going all in, pushing ourselves. And we actually get quite a dopamine high from doing something quite hard in terms of like a dieting approach or a fitness approach. But ADHD brains also struggle with consistency and sustainability. So these really high expectations, these really high standards, doing quite hard things creates these bigger crashes. It's what creates the cycle. How I like to think of it is like if you turn your phone to full brightness and have loads of tabs open and expect your phone to last ages, it's not going to, because it's using up all of its resources very, very, very quickly. And this is what happens when you start a diet with ADHD. You go all in, you're doing all these things, and then bam. The all or nothing thinking kicks in because you're a human being, fallen off with one thing, and then we're back to square one. And you are not going to stay motivated the whole time because like a phone battery, the energy is going to come down at some point. The executive function overload is going to start to kick in when you're actually trying to do all these things with a busy life, the dopamine's faded off, and that's when the avoidance can kick in. And that's also when that feeling of failure can kick in, right? We set such high standards. And the almost internal sense of rejection sensitivity of I've let myself down, I've let other people down kicks in, and that's why it's easier then just to fall off. It's easier just to quit rather than admitting that I've done something wrong. So what do we do about this? What do we do about the motivation drops, the motivation lulls? Because it's going to happen. This is where the minimum baseline rule kicks in. Now, the minimum baseline rule is a strategy that I use with my clients, one of the many strategies that I use inside my coaching practices, which means that even on your hardest days of motivation, your low motivation, low executive functioning, low mood days, which we are going to have, you have some action steps that don't require much effort, that don't require much thought, that still allow you to move closer to your goal. Doesn't need to be your best. It doesn't need to require a lot of effort, but it still gets you moving forward. It's going to stop you being all or nothing, 0 to 100. So in terms of what creates a minimum baseline rule, it is something that is predictable, so you can do very, very, very easily. Like it's not something that is going to require, lots of planning and organization. It's low effort, and the most important thing is you make it non-negotiable. So for example, let's just say you've planned to do a run, right? That was what you planned to do, but you've woken up really low motivation, low energy. Your minimum baseline rule for those days could be, right, if I'm not going to do a run, a full workout, I'm going to do a 20-minute walk, because a 20-minute walk is predictable unless there is, I don't know, like a monsoon or something. You should be able to go out and do 20 minutes of walking pretty much every single day. It's going to fit in at any time. It's low effort. 20 minutes of walking is very low effort, and it's a non-negotiable for myself, right? It could be, you plan these really healthy meals and you just come to cook it and you're like, I just don't have it today. So what you could have is, like, I call them emergency meals that you just have in your freezer, foods that are predictable because they're there, they're always there. They're low effort, so maybe it's a meal prep or just something that goes in the microwave. So some examples that I do with clients is things like they batch cook. So if they make like a pasta or a rice dish, they just always do an extra portion and then put them away for those days. Or it could be even like a healthy ready meal. So again, low effort, and that's your non-negotiable, that I'm still going to have a high protein, healthy meal. This is what minimum baseline standards do. They stop you from being all in or all out, going to 100% or nothing. Because the thing is, right, when things are good, when we're motivated, it's easy. But lasting results come from the rubbish days, the days where you don't want to get out of bed, the days where everything feels hard, the days where you can't be bothered, the days where you would rather just sit on the sofa eating a pack of biscuits, watching Netflix all day, the days where you would normally quit on yourself because you can't be perfect, the days where you would go from 100 to 0, the days where you still show up for yourself when you feel like that are the ones that get you results. So what you need to do from this video is think about your baseline standards. And I would pick something for movement. I would pick 1 to 2 things for food, and then one other habit that is important to you to get you moving forward. And so even on your pretty shit days, you are always moving forward. And if every day, even if it's a tiny bit, you're moving closer to your goal, you're no longer in this cycle of move forward and back and forward and back, and this yo-yo, which is just exhausting, right? Now, if this is something that you really do resonate with and you are feeling a lot more stuck, you want more guidance on this, this is exactly what I do in my coaching support. So if you click the link in the description, that will take you to my coaching support options. Fill out the form, we can have a chat about things from there. And if you would like to understand a bit more about why ADHD brains struggle when it comes to weight loss, have a bit more context behind it, go and check out the video I recorded not so long ago where I go into more detail on that. But over and out today, guys, please go, literally spend 5 minutes after this video going and writing and committing to your minimum baseline standards. I promise you it is going to change the game for you and your weight loss moving forward. Much love, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you on the next video.